Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. To come up with a few questions for tonight's table topics, I decided to go online and see what today is the National Day of. Well, one of the things that I noticed is today is National Chip and Dip Day. So my first question to you is, a lot of people like different chips and dips, but what is your favorite and why?
My favorite chip and dip. I like all kinds of chip and dip. However, I think my absolute favorite, and we make it for football season and we call it football food on Sundays, is where we sit in front of the TV, watch the Titans, and eat football food. It's Rotel tomatoes and Velveeta cheese. Melt it together in the crock pot. If you're real adventurous and got an extra pound of hamburger, brown that up, put that in. If you want it a little bit spicier, take about a pound or less of sausage, brown that up, throw it in the mix. Goes good with everything. It can't be made yucky. Even when I use off-brand Rotel and off-brand Velveeta, the dollar store kind, it still turns out good. Rotel and tomatoes and Velveeta cheese. Cheese dip, my favorite. Rebecca.
Another national holiday today is National Near Miss Day. Back in 1989, there was an asteroid that came within 500,000 miles of hitting the Earth. It's a good thing it was a near miss because they didn't discover the asteroid until about a week later, that it had passed us. But this is also a day to celebrate those second chances that you may get. So my question tonight is, what is a time when you were given that second chance? And what did you do with it?
My second chance. Those of you that know me know the story of Toastmasters and myself, and happened to be living in Texas at the time. And I went to a Toastmasters meeting, my first one in Hurst, Texas. And as I was sitting at the meeting, every once in a while I heard this clang of like somebody was tapping people were talking, and I was wondering what was that. And then we got to the part where back in that meeting, they would not let the visitors just visit and shut up. They made you stand up and talk. Well, my whole speech when I was talking sounded like this. And I said, what is that? And they go, well, you were saying catchphrases and ahs and buts. And because of that, I gave Toastmasters a break of 30 years before I came back. And I'm glad I did, because things have really changed since then. Now, instead of banging away and distracting people, they have a grammarian and awe counter back there that keeps track. And I like the way we do it versus the way some clubs do it, where they're clanging a bell and everything else. Most of us know when we've made a mistake, and we can own up to it. But I'm glad I gave Toastmasters a second chance. Madam Table Topic.
Another holiday today is it's National Chia Day. Well, I think it's referring to a grain, but the first thing that came to my mind when I heard that was about a chia pet. I didn't have one myself when I was growing up, but my question is, what was if you had a chia pet back when they first came out, what was it a chia pet of?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master and fellow Toastmasters. To be bluntly honest, I never had a chia pet. However, I did have something that was the equivalent of a Chia pet, and you won't be able to tell it now because it's gone. But my hair was technically a Chia pet. I always had a issue with having my hair cut a long time ago when I was growing up. So I would let my hair grow out as high and as tall and as wide as it could be until my mom griped enough about it that it forced me to go ahead and get a haircut. I love doing it just because of the fact that it got to the point where I could never put a hat on it. It was hard to maintain, I will say that. But it made me stand out like a sore thumb, which is the one thing that I always wanted to do in high school, middle school, elementary school, was to be in front of the crowd rather than just being behind the scenes. So if I had a Chia pet, it would pretty much be one of those Chia pets that looked like it had a huge afro type Chia pet. But my hair was technically the Chia pet of the days that I had growing up. Madam Table Topics Master.
Another national holiday today, since I have time for one more, is today is National 3D Day. And when I used to be able to go to the movies, which we haven't been able to do in some time, was I enjoyed going to 3D movies. But there's also 3D puzzles that I enjoy doing as well. If there is something that you have enjoyed doing 3D wise, either 3D puzzles, 3D movies, or even just being able to do something possibly with 3D printing, if you have one of those, what is it that you would create, or what movie would you go see in 3D and why?
I will tell you that I am not a fan of 3D. I have been working and have been trying to teach both myself and my students how to do some 3D work in Photoshop. That's not easy. In fact, it's harder than I ever thought it would be, particularly because you have the interface that is so different. When folks tell me Photoshop's easy and they've learned things, I said, try 3D. 3D is very, very difficult, particularly for someone like me who is so used to using the 2D world and using light and shadow within the 2D to make 3D as opposed to being 3D. So National 3D Day can pass along for me. Madam Table Topic Master.